Okay, no need for introductions at this point. Let's just get straight into it. So here's the animation we'll be making today.
Created for is because you don't pay enough attention to the things around you which can actually inspire.
So as you can see, it's a track map, and then there's some trim paths, and then there's a rotation zoom in, and then you get some 3D assets, things around you which can actually inspire you. And this one's actually one of the harder animations to make, but don't worry, I'll explain everything. So first, here is what we have in Premiere Pro.
Enough attention to the
Okay, so if you actually remember here, okay, I'll actually have this up above enough, and then attention was right below it. And what I want to make sure I do is
pay enough attention.
have the word attention below the word enough. So what I want to do here is actually cut this for a sec, but it doesn't really matter, just so I have a reference point once I'm in After Effects. So I want to select all of this, including the word enough, select it, and then what I want to do is right click and replace with After Effects composition. And as you can see, I have our original After Effects composition with the other stuff opened already, so it has automatically just added this linked comp to the same location as the other ones. As you can see, we have our first animation here, second animation, and third animation. All right, first thing I'm going to do, change the playback quality to third because I do not want my After Effects crashing on me today. And control save. All right, so you know what to do. We have to separate these text layers from these stupid pre-comps. So I'm going to do that off camera after just showing you the first one in case you forgot. Firstly, we use easy tools to change the keyframe. Then we hit Control X, exit out of the pre-comp, Control V, and then delete the pre-comp. And then we want to do this for every single pre-comp here. I'm just going to pause my recording and do this off camera. And just like magic, all of the text layers have been separated from the pre-comps. And now what we can do is just organize our files once again. We want to organize our files every time we create a new animation project. All right, so firstly, let's just sort out these pre-comps here. As we can see, this one is a useless one, so we can delete that. Pre-comp 3 and pre-comp 4. These are from animation 2. I'll drag that there. By the way, the reason I had an extra pre-comp is because I was experimenting with some stuff. If the pre-comps you have used, if the pre-comps you have here are used in animation 2, make sure you don't delete them. What you want to do is just double check and you'll be able to check them out. And now Links Comp 2 is animation 2, Links Comp 3 is animation 3, and I'm going to make a new folder and call it animation 3. And what I want to do now is drag that there. And the lightning is from animation 2, the raw footage goes into the raw footage file folder, and the sparks are from animation 2 as well. TV lines are going to be used for basically every single animation, so I'll keep it there. Now what I can do is delete these pre-comps of the text because we don't need them anymore. Actually, is one of these a... Never mind. Okay, I'll just delete them one by one just in case some of them are used somewhere. And when these pre-comps are used, they actually give you a warning. After Effects gives you a warning. So just delete that and it should be fine. Okay, so there was no problem there. I just deleted the pre-comps, and that's the files sorted and managed very well. And organizing your files is highly recommended, especially when you have 3 or 4 animations per video and they all require a lot of assets. Okay, so now what we have to do is make sure these are in the correct position, and we just hit P and we drag them down to somewhere around the value 800 because that's where we've had all the other captions. Around there looks good to me. Let's just double check with this one here. Okay, so it's there. It's there. Okay, yep, that works. And what I want to do now, because all of this is in the animation, I can just get rid of that. Actually, I'm gonna hit P. It just hides all the positions now. So I'm gonna hide all of these layers because we don't need them yet. What we need to do right now is make sure the word attention is stylized correctly. That's the first step before I import any assets and do anything else. So what I'm going to do is hit P for position, and I'm going to move it down first of all. Next, I'm going to select the whole thing, and then I'm going to change the font to PT Serif Regular. Then I'm going to make it all caps. Then I'm going to bring it slightly closer together by moving this VA thing over here. And about there looks good to me. And now what I want to do is just go back to this, move the position down just a little bit more. Then I'm hit Shift S for scale. I'm make it slightly bigger, 120% looks good. And I want this to be dead center. Actually, I can move it up a little bit because I can just alter it with the camera positioning. But that's the general effect I want. And then I want to add a deep glow to it, of course, because that's what we had in our original version. And we want to change the exposure to 0.5. If you don't have deep glow, as usual, just use regular glow. And let's look at the reference video. Alright, so let's just double check all the assets we have. So first of all, you can see the TV lines, you can see a background, you can see sparks, you can see 3D assets, and you can also see an AI image. So I'm going to go ahead and import these assets into my project now. I'm going to pause the recording while I do this, but for you guys, the assets will be available in the link down below on this lesson. Okay, so now that we've imported all of the assets, we want to continue with editing this animation. So after the word attention pops up, we want a background to slowly appear from behind it. And what this background is a film matte transition where we use the track matte tool to make the background spread out like ink. So firstly, we need the ink. And what I have here is, well, I'll just show you this asset.
Attention to.
Let me turn off the sound. So basically what this is
Attention to.
An ink spread where the ink basically just goes outwards. And what I want to do first of all is, okay, so it finishes around there. And I want to make it a bit faster, so Control Alt and T. I want to move this about over there, and hopefully this will make this finish sooner. Yeah, it will. And if I just do that, I want it to finish. Yeah, you know what? That's okay. So that's what I wanted to do. So Control Alt and T for time remap, and just want to speed it up a little bit. Toggle hold keyframe, and that's what we need to do.
Attention to.
And what we also want to do now is drag in our background. So we know we had the TV lines. Make sure it's above the track mat actually. And make sure we also have the, actually that's all we need for the time being, because yeah, that's all we need for the time being. So essentially what we want to do now is select, okay, so first of all, if you don't have this little track matte option, you just need to click this button down here. So you just click that and now you have track matte. So I want to change the track matte to a4.mov, which is this thing. And I want to reverse it. And now hopefully, never mind. Okay, so let's see what the problem here is. Okay, so now it's working. What I had to do was click this to select Luma matte. And now what's happening is the track matte's pattern has been applied to the background. So this is the result we get.
Attention to. Attention.
That's a bit too fast actually. Let's see.
Attention to.
Okay.
Attention to.
Attention. And it spreads out. And that's exactly what we want. And now we can delete the word enough because we don't need that. And we want the word attention to last for a bit longer. Now let's look back at our reference video. Okay, so here's the reference video. And what happens now is, as you can see, some lines appear and they fly off as the camera rotates and zooms in onto the next scene. So first of all, let's just determine what we want. Attention to the things around you. Let's see if that text is actually on here. Okay, so we know that, oh, sorry, in After Effects. Okay, so we know that it is transitioning the camera when we get to the word to the. So the transition starts from about here and ends about there. Shift 4 for the first marker and Shift 5 for the second one. So this is the duration of the transition. Attention. and I sort of want the zoom and camera movement to start, let's say around here. But I want the lines, the trim path to start straight away as soon as we get a full track matte. So at this point, okay. So what I'm going to do now is use the pen tool and make sure there's no fill. Make sure there is a stroke though, and I'm going to make the stroke purple, 9D4EDD, which is my go-to purple, and then 10 pixels, and I'm going to have 2 points, just like that. And if we zoom in, we can see that, Control Z, and we can see that it has created a line. And I don't think this is very straight, but I can just hold Shift, and now we have a line. And I want to change the anchor. I want to change the anchor point to the middle, and here we have a line. Voila. And I think we can move the stroke up a little bit, maybe to 13. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. And now with the shape, I'm just gonna make sure everything looks correct before duplicating it. And what I want to do now is drop this down and drop down the contents option, drop down the shape option, drop down the stroke option, and then change a few things. Firstly, the line cap is a round cap, so now it's round. Perfect. Next, what I want to do is give it, actually, yeah, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do so far. Now what I want to do though is give it a deep glow. So I'm just going to drag on deep glow. Looks great. That's exactly the effect I want. So I'm just going to keep it like that. And here's the position. I'm going to move my, actually I'm just going to zoom out, and this should be okay. All right. So now that we have that line, actually now that I look at it, it's a bit long. So I'm going to shrink it shrink it just a little bit. If it's gonna bug out. Okay. It's a bit buggy, but here's what we got. So we got one line here, and what we want to do is duplicate it. So Control D, and actually, you know what? We'll do the trim path first. So how we want to do a trim path is by dropping it down and then add trim path right here. And now we want to close the shape options, drop down on trim paths, and we want the end to be 0% as well. So start 0%, and we want it to be finished, let's say here, 100%. So
Attention to the
yep, that's fine. And then easy ease using the Easy Tools plugin,
attention to the
or just F9. So
attention to the
now we have a trim path. Simple. Now the trim path is correct, so we'll duplicate the shape, and let's just see. Position, obviously, and then we're going to move it down, then we're going to move it here, and we're going to just make sure that everything's correct. This looks good to me. Let's see the animation.
attention to the
Oh, okay. So now you can see that the trim paths are both going the same direction. The way we change the direction is by dropping this shape down, go to effects, no effects, contents, trim paths. Actually, it might be in the shape. Yeah. So, okay. Now you can see this little thing that says path over here. Just look at this here. So now it's selected here, but we want it to be like this. What this basically says is that the shape is drawn in an opposite direction. So this means that the trim path will also be in an opposite direction. So this is the effect we have now.
attention to the
And that's what we want. So that's
attention
one half of this little shape animation done. What we also want on top of the trim path is some movement with the position. So I'll hit P for position, and actually we also want the trim path. So I'm going to open the trim path first, and then I'm going to hit Shift and P for the position. And now we have the, no we don't. Okay, let's just open the transform effect, and we have position down here. Okay, so I want the position to start, and let's actually, I want it to start in the middle of the trim path, and I want it to end right before this transitional period. And I'm going to make the movement send the shape off the screen. And it will end about there. And what I want to do is apply this graph here using Flow or just the graph editor if you don't have Flow. So this is what the bottom line will look like now.
Attention to the thing.
So as you can see, it's forming and then it's going. And what I want to do actually is I'll make the trim paths aligned a bit more.
Attention to the.
Maybe it's a bit too fast. Maybe I'll drag it out a little bit and have the movement start here. Okay.
Attention to the.
Maybe we have the trim path in line with
Attention to the thing.
Nah. Okay. So I think what we need to do is just slow this down a bunch.
Attention to the things.
Nope. Okay, this is fine.
Attention to the.
I think the reason why it looks off is because we don't have motion blur. Let's see what it looks like with motion blur.
Attention to the.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. All right. So now we want to do the same thing for this bottom layer here. And I'll just have the top layer open as well, just for some reference. And I did want to change the trim path duration, something like this. Here. And now I want to go to position so I can hit P. And because I have these keyframes up here to base them off, I don't need the trim path open. So by this point, we want the position to be out of the screen over here. And then we apply the good old graph, and here's what we have now.
Attention to the things.
But no camera movement yet, so we're not done. Now, it's time to add the camera movement. So we need a camera, 2-node camera as always. Okay, we don't have any 3D layers yet, but don't worry about that. Then we also want a null object. And we want to make that 3D, link the camera to the null. Now what we want to do is make all these shape layers 3D, as well as the word attention, and the TV line and this matte overlay. I'm actually going to leave it, so we don't need to worry about that. And another thing I want to point out is that this background disappears after the track matte. The way we fix that is just by Alt and then right bracket, Alt, right bracket, square bracket. Okay, it's not working. It doesn't matter. Basically, what we want to do is just drag in another version of this TV lines overlay, which starts at this point here. So as soon as this runs out, actually what we'll do is this. We'll shrink it so it starts at that point, so it feels continuous.
The things around you. The things around
you. Can't even tell. Okay, amazing. So now we have this. Let's animate the camera movement. And if you remember, the camera zooms in and rotates to the side. So now that everything is 3D, and by the way, we want to leave the TV line overlay not 3D, so that, because like if it was 3D, it would zoom in significantly and it would look really off. So just the shape layers and the word attention for this animation. Now what we want to do is use the null object to make some changes to the position. Okay, keyframe starting about, I want it to start around here. And then I wanted to zoom in, to finish at this point. Yeah. And what do we want to do? We want it to zoom in a bunch, obviously. And we also want it rotated to the side. So Shift R, I want it to Z-rotate to the side like this. And 90 degrees. And we just want to fix it up here to make sure that, okay, not that, we want to make sure that everything is center aligned so it all looks good. I want to zoom in even a bit more. And we also want to do, let's just see. Okay, I forgot to keyframe the Z rotation, that's fine. Just drag out this keyframe. And then set the Z rotation here to 0. So now we get a little rotation. It's not smooth yet. All we have to do, apply the graph, drag this out. Now it's smooth.
To the things around. To the things around.
It can start a bit earlier. Drag it out.
Attention to the things around you.
To the, and at this point, I want the word attention to be pretty much invisible. So T for opacity, and you know what? I want the opacity to start to disappear here, and I want it to start disappearing right about here. So 100 here, and then at this point, 0. Let's just see.
To the things around you.
Yep, that's fine. We don't need to add easy.
To the things around.
Yep, that's fine. To the, and then we can delete the words to the, and then obviously we don't need a transition here because we've already got our own smooth rotate sort of transition. Now we just need to set up this next scene, and you know we use a bunch of 3D assets in this scene. So we have the phone here, we have the MacBook here, and we also have the PS5 controller. I'm just going to drag them in. It is going to change our renderer, but this won't matter just yet. And we want to have it above this shape layer so we know it's a new animation. And just press OK. And then add this MacBook. Press OK. Add this iPhone. Press OK. And now what we want to do is select all of them and make sure they start right over here. Actually, we can have them start a bit earlier. We can have them like around here. Maybe like here. Okay, but basically we just want to make sure that the positioning is all correct. And as you can see, the default like options when we've just imported it are completely cooked. So let's fix that. Firstly, the iPhone, actually that's at the bottom. We'll do the PlayStation controller first. So first of all, P, and then also Shift S, also Shift R. Okay, I'm gonna do the scale myself. I think that's approximately the size we had it at. I think that size would work, so around 10%. Yep, that looks good to me. And what I want to do is rotate it. Not that, but that's fine. Rotate it, and then also rotate it this way. And also yeah, that looks good. And then I'm just going to position it so it is down here and sort of like rotate it this way. So I think that'd be cool. And then Z rotation just rotates it. Perfect. Okay, now MacBook, that is way too big. I'll just go S for scale. We actually don't need this position and stuff. I'm going to change this to 50%. Maybe a bit bigger, 60, 70%. Maybe a bit smaller, 65. Yep, that works. Actually, no, it doesn't. It's way bigger, 70%. Doesn't need to be the most accurate size-wise. However, you want to make it somewhat realistic. You don't want the PlayStation controller to be double the size of a MacBook, for example. All right, let's change the position of the MacBook now. We can just use this. Drag that. Let's drag this Y rotation down. Let's move the X rotation down a little bit. And let's spin it around using this Z rotation. And what I want to do actually is have it like this. And now that I look at it, it is on the bigger side. So I'm going to shrink it down to 60. Yeah, that's realistic enough. 60 is good to me, and it will just be up here. And I do want to turn on the proportional grid just to make sure everything is optimal for our like rule of thirds sort of thing. So move that up here. And now the phone, whoops, Control Z. The size looks good to me, so I'll just rotate it so it's facing this way maybe, and have it down here. Controller can go down a bit, phone can go down a bit also. Just like make sure it's all aesthetically placed. Move that up a little bit. Yeah, this looks good. Maybe make the phone a bit bigger actually. So S, how is it 0%? Okay, this is an extremely big GLB. So 0.05 is too big even. 0.04 0.04 is the perfect size. So that's the thing with GLB files and 3D files. Some of them can be very, very big. Okay, so here's the phone now. I'll just have it like this. It's all rotating properly, perfect. And I'm actually gonna have it start like this, have this one start like this, and have the effects don't work, no biggie, and have that start like that. And now what I want to do is add the text. And let's have a look at the reference video first. So it all comes up as like one big thing.
Things around you, which can things around.
Actually, maybe things comes first.
Things around you, which can act to the things around you, which can act.
No biggie. Anyways, things will need to be there, and then around you, I'll make that one sort of like one line. So I can delete the word you, but now the word also we want to turn these layers back on, make them 3D as well, and let's bring them into the scene. As you can see, they're not in the scene, but we need to just apply some counter rotation by selecting both of these, rotating it on the Z axis, and if we bring it this way. Okay, actually I'm going to turn on two views here. Let's just see where the text is at this moment. Okay, I think what I need to do is bring it above all these other layers. I think that's the problem I'm having. Yeah, that is the problem I'm having. Okay, so now I can see the text. Let's turn off two views. One view will do. Let's zoom that out so it's fit. And that is a bit too big. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit R. I'm going to hit... is this working? All right, select that with Shift, R, and then P. Okay, no, R. All right, so Shift R now. So we have the position and the rotation here. And we want it to be 90. So now we counter rotated it. And we also want it to be closer to the middle. So like that. And that would be good. Move that up a little bit and around. Move that down and make sure it's around you. And now what we want to do is select both of these layers, hit S, and make them a lot smaller. They will be all caps, so let's just keep it like this for now. So V, let's just select things first, make it all caps, and then we're using the stroke for this one. So, what? I'm not sure why this is happening. That is interesting to say the least. So it's become red. Let's see if around you works. This might be a glitch on my part, might be an error. I have no clue. And it just turns red. Huh. That is very, very interesting. Let me see if I have anything here. So, oh, I know what it is. Yeah, it's because it's in advanced 3D. Yeah, that's why. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do first before we deal with this text, because we are still in advanced 3D, is select these three and pre-comp them. We can pre-comp them together. Doesn't really matter. Just do that. Okay. We want to make the pre-comp 3D, and now everything looks fine, except for the quality. That is horrendous. Auto. And that's made it even worse. Hold on. Let me see if I can just adjust the quality to full and see if it looks normal. The quality on this is quite poor. Alright. What I might do is just hit the scale and make them all a bit bigger. Nowhere near that big. Okay, let's just Control Z. Let's move the scale up a tiny bit by adjusting here. Okay, no, the phone will just become insanely big. You know what? It's fine, just keep it like that. The quality is a bit cooked, but it's fine because the pre-comping will make it look normal anyways. All right, so now that we have this in its own pre-comp, we can change the main composition to classic 3D, and now the outline's working, which is the little problem I had earlier. Now I want to select this text, make it all caps as usual, and I think I'm just going to make both of these layers a bit smaller. So S for scale, and I'm going to bump it down to 60. Yeah, 60 is good. Now I just want to make sure the position's optimal. So things, position it around here. That's like about, so the middle is around here, and then I'll just move around you upwards like this, and make sure it's centered as well. That looks good to me. And actually, I want to move around you down a little bit as well, just so there's a little bit of space. And that looks good to me. Now, what I want to do is get rid of this proportional grid. And what I can do is apply deep glow to these two text layers here. And it's a bit high, so 0.5. 0.5. I'm curious to see how a little deep glow would look on the 3D objects. Firstly, it's going to look shocking, but what if I bump it down to like 0.05? Maybe a bit high, 0.1? No, 0.05. I'm going to set the glow to 0.05, but this actually looks pretty good. I'm going to show you the difference. So it like really brightens it up, and I actually kind of like it. And I'm going to turn up the radius. Never mind, not the radius change doesn't really matter, but that's the sort of effect I want, and things around you, it all works now. Let's just see if the animation works.
So the things,
turn down the playback quality first of all.
so the things around you,
Okay, so the animation works. Ignore how low quality that is. That's just a playback issue. It will look fine when we export it.
the things around you, so the things around you,
And another thing we want to do is T for opacity, and we want the opacity to go from 0 here to 100 here. Well, just one frame earlier, 100.
so the things around you, so the things around you,
So that's quite a smooth transition.
so the things around you,
Yeah, it looks perfect. Now what we want to do is create some animation for the text. And we're going to use Animation Composer for this. If you haven't installed it yet, Animation Composer by Premiere Horse. And what we're going to use now is we're going to go to Presets, click the pop-down Transitions for text layer. And I think the one we used here is Position and Rotate. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we're going to go to the start of this one here, select it, Animation Composer, and we're going to animate in. Now we're going to go ahead to this next one, and then Animation Composer and animate in once again. And now we just get to change the duration of this animation. So let's see.
things around you, which can actually inspire.
I actually think this might have been something like this. So it's all in line, and then
Things around you, which can actually inspire.
yeah, that's how I did it.
The things around you, which,
That's actually on the faster side, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
things around you, which can actually inspire you.
The audio is just glitched when we play it
The
back.
things around you, which can,
And then let's look at the original video.
which can actually.
So when there's which can, that's the transition, and we also have sparks going up in the background. So, no, not that. Let's go to After Effects and add these sparks.
The things around you,
Okay, let's just get rid of this U and U again, U again. All right, now that gets rid of all the drop downs. So once we get to this point, we want some sparks to fly. And if we go to, I can just drag in the sparks. I think it's this one, sparks, horizontal small. We want it to be under the pre-comp, and we want to hit P and Shift R, and rotation, we're just going to rotate it this way, and I'm just going to manually drag it. I think something like that would be good. I think that's a cool effect. Now what we want to do is control space for FX console. If you don't have FX console, just type it up in your effects and presets, and I'm going to hit tint. I'm going to add a tint, not black and white this time. We're going to make it the good old purple, and make the sparks purple. And then of course we're going to add a good old deep glow to make it look extra spiffy, and we're going to make the exposure like 0.6. Something like that looks good to me. Let's just see. Okay, that's the next thing. We don't want the sparks to be continuous like a stream. How we had it before, control save, is it started on one side and then it ended on the other side. So the way we do this is, okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna create a mask for the sparks. And the way we do this is select the layer and then double click on a rectangle. This creates a mask. We're gonna drop down on the mask, turn the feather up to 200. So there's a feather now on the mask. And the way we do this is by V, first of all, hit V, and then we want to select all the points of the mask. Then we want to go to mask path. We're going to toggle the keyframe, push that out, and then first it's going to start, just select all the points of the mask first, and the first stage of the mask is going to start here. So as you see, there's nothing here, and then by the end, so this next keyframe, it's going to be there. And then actually we're going to make it last for the whole scene. So by this point, it's actually going to be finished. So all the way up here. I think that's a cool effect that we can do. Let's see how this looks. Make it fit and put my face back.
The things around you which can actually inspire. The things around you which can actually. The things around you.
I think I'll make it finish a bit earlier.
The things around you which can actually inspire. The things around you which.
Yep, that works. Okay, now let's think about the next scene. So we transition on the words which can. So I want to drag this out first of all. And then by the end of the word which can, we end up at the next scene. So shift 5. So that's where we want to train. So the transition should be around here. And I'll make sure we extend this to about there. And well, let's just extend it all the way to the 5. That's fine. Okay, things around you. And by the 5, I want to get rid of all of this. So I'm just going to trim this. Control Shift D. And I'm just going to trim. Hello. Can I trim the null, please? Okay, it doesn't want to work for me. But basically, we want to trim the layers so that they all end by this marker we have here, because we want to transition into a new scene. And the way we do this is, actually we want the camera to be consistent, because you don't actually do anything to the camera. Right, so P, yeah, we don't do anything to the camera. So what we want to have is position,
which can act,
and we want the transition to start here. So the word which can, and then we want it to finish around here. And what I want basically is a zoom in. But first of all, we need to set up the next scene. So actually inspire you, let's turn those layers on and let's drag them up to the top here, above the sparks. Just close this drop down. So this is the next scene. And we also want the Photoshop layers. So it's the inspired man one. We want the background below all the text first. Not this text. Actually inspire. Okay, let's just move all of this up here. So we have the background, and then, sorry, Control Z, not that. I want to drag it out here. And then we want the man just above the background and also around here. I'm going to make the adjustments to the... Okay, we want to do the camera zoom first. We want it to zoom in... Okay, I see the problem. We haven't made these 3D yet. So make that 3D, and we want this... Okay, Shift R. Okay, that's fine. Where does it start? So it starts at this point. It's actually going to zoom out, actually, I think.
Which can actually inspire.
No, definitely not. Okay. I want it to zoom in. So let's just make it that. And what we're going to do here is select all these R and give it a negative 90, or is it just 90? 90-degree counter rotation. And then Shift S for the scale and make them smaller. Where are we at? Let's shift the two views. Let's just see where our layers are at. Okay, so it's not a scale issue. Over here, just gonna go Shift P for position, and we're gonna move them all back here so that the position is all good. Let's just add this scene here. Drag the position back and change that to fit. So change this to fit. Zoom out a bit here. Let's see what it looks like. And that's okay in my opinion. The text is definitely a bit off now, but what can we do? Is it an issue with the positioning? I'll just drag it back. And then I'm gonna okay, that's fine. I'll fix the text later. Let's just make this scene look good for now. One view will do, and make it fit. There we go. And what we want to do is hit U. Please. U. Okay, there we go. We've closed everything now. Things around you which
can actually inspire you.
Okay, so you just want to make it a bit bigger. So P and P, Shift S, Shift S. Firstly, we want to make the man, and you know what? We'll make these not 3D. This will hopefully fix our issue, and we'll just turn them invisible for now as well. Let's set up this scene. Let's bring the man a bit closer. We don't need his arms to be like fully not cut off. Position, no, not that. Okay, so he's a bit closer now. We can move him. I don't want him off center, so I'll just move him down here. Sort of like that. And then in the background, we want to move this all the way back. If you remember correctly, we just want to move it back. And then we want to increase the scale so that it's something like this. And you can sort of see the content aware fill, but no one's going to see it, so it's fine. We can like sort of move the man to prevent this. yeah, that'll do the trick. And that's our scene, perfectly fine and completely set up. I do want to show you one thing with this one. I want to use the puppet tool to move the man a little bit. What I'm going to do, actually no, there's no need. This scene is only on the screen for like 2 seconds. There's no need for that. All right, so this is our scene set up. And what we want to do now is just double check.
Which can actually
Okay, let's actually smoothen out this keyframe, shall we? Using my graph.
which can actually inspire you around you, which can actually so the things around you, which can actually which can
And I think I want everything to pop up by this point.
which can actually inspire.
I want all this to be done by this point as well.
Which can actually
Okay, and I think since this has happened, I just want to move everything back a bit, and that should be fine.
around you, which can actually inspire you, which can actually inspire.
And we can drag this back, of course.
Which can actually inspire.
Okay, this is what I don't like now. You can see that.
Which can actually which can actually inspire you.
No, it's fine. As long as it's not too extreme.
Which can actually inspire you. Which can actually.
Yeah, this is good, in my opinion. And now what we want to do is just add the text. Let's have a look how we had it before.
Which can
Actually inspire you. Yep, okay. And one more thing I forgot to do is actually add the rotation to these 3D objects. So basically what we want to do is go R and then rotation. So Z rotation, keyframe, all of it. And then we, let's set it to, let's go 3. And then we go a couple frames forward and let's set it to, by the way, we want to set the keyframe for all of these to 3. 3. Okay, now let's select all of them again. Move forward a few frames. Click keyframe and set it to -3. And we want to add an easy ease to all of this using easy tools. And let's see how this looks now.
the things around you, which can actually
So as you can see, they're slightly rotating. Oh, okay. I see what I've done. I want to just stretch this out.
the things around you, which can actually inspire.
And you can't really see with this playback quality, but there is a slight rotation. In fact, we're going to increase it a bit. So over here, we're going to make it -7, and we're going to make it +7. So this will make the movement a lot greater.
the things around you, which can actually inspire. Which can actually.
Yeah, and now you can see it's visibly spinning.
Which can actually inspire.
Now let's do the typography. So actually, and then inspire you. I'm going to delete the word you because inspire you is one thing. And we're going to make it visible. And V for selector, inspire you. Actually, that's the actually layer. Inspire you. Perfect. And the way we want this positioned, also add this camera, you know what, we may as well use the camera to move it down a little bit. Do we need to change the point of interest as well? Let's see how this looks.
which can actually inspire you.
You know what, this is sort of cool. I like that. So now I've sort of changed the angle so it looks a bit different, but I'm completely fine with that. So the word actually, it is all caps, and I'm going to use the position tool to move it down a little bit. So the word actually is on top of the head, actually. Okay, it's actually, the word actually is actually on top of the head. So we're going to move it up there. And then the word inspire you, I'm going to hit P. I'm just going to move it down a little bit. And it's about, I think it's a bit bigger than what I have it as. And it also zooms in a bit more. So may as well zoom it in a bit more, that won't hurt. And the word actually, I'm going to hit Shift and then S. It toggles the scale, and I'm going to move the scale up. I think that is, yeah, that's visible. And then the word inspire you, it's a different font. It is Alex brush, so Alex. Now I can see Alex brush, and I'm going to make the color 94EDD, and that's the purple. Now I'm going to go Shift and S. I'm going to make this one bigger as well, and I'm going to move it up so it's sort of like, and I'm going to move it above the actually layer so it sort of overlaps it, but I'm going to move it down a bit so it doesn't overlap too much. And I'm going to apply a deep glow to this layer. Okay, and I'm going to drag it down a little bit more. Yep, that looks good. So actually,
Can actually inspire. Which can actually inspire.
actually we do need to make it 3D. This will be annoying, but oh well. Alright, where is the word actually? We will need to turn on 2U's now. Okay, so we just need to bring it to the same level as these. And let's just rotate it so orientation 90 degrees. We're going to move it here. Drag it up a little bit. And I'm going to move the scale down instead of changing the position again. And it's going to be, I think in the middle of the arms actually creates a cool effect, but 130, maybe even a bit smaller, 120. Yeah, that's okay. And I'm going to shift it a little bit like that. It's not centered, but I think this way it's like directly, actually no. So let's center it. So somewhere about there. And now it's centered. Now for the word inspire you, I'm just going to hit P and I'm going to copy the position for the actually. So 925 point, actually Control Z. Can I? Okay, it's reset. I'm just going to change the Z position to 1424. And can I see it yet? Shift R, rotation 90 degrees. Oh, I can't see it because it's there. Okay, I did not base it off the final scene. The silly me. Let's just move it all back here, and let's turn all the scales down like this, and inspire you can be even smaller. So Shift S, that opens the scale, and I can make it smaller just like that. And it's not in frame. A bit bigger, 140, 155, 150, and 150 is the size I want it. And we're going to move it up so it just slightly overlaps the word actually. Move down a bit. Okay, this is good. And the word actually is a bit off center now that I look at it. So that is exactly what we want here. and I'm actually going to make them a bit smaller once again. Control C. What did I just do? What did I do? A bit smaller. That looks perfect. And now we just need to add the animations. For the word actually, there was an animator on it, so I'm just going to toggle this and hit animate. Opacity, what's that? There it is. And then opacity to 0. 0. Range selector, start. And I want it to finish. Let's just hear this. Actually, no, I can base it off here. I want it to finish about here. I'm going to make it 100 at this point. Then we're going to go to advanced, randomize order, just change the C to something, and then easy ease. Let's see.
Can actually.
Okay, perfect. And we're just going to add a deep glow onto it and 0.5 exposure. Maybe even less for this case, 0.3. And let's change the radius to 100. So, no, that's way too low. Let's bump it up. Around 300 works. So actually, and then inspire you is just a type, a typewriter effect. So where's the typewriter? Found it. And then we just hit U to see the keyframes. U, and we can see it now. Wherever the key. Okay, the second keyframe is way off. Actually, we don't want to do that. Okay, first we want to shift 6 to mark where the word inspire you actually starts, so we don't get so we don't lose it. And now we just drag this to about there. Drag the word back and easy ease that as well. F9 also works, and let's see how it looks.
Which can actually inspire you. Which can actually inspire you.
Drag that back even.
Which can actually inspire you. 10. Which can actually inspire you.
Yep, looks good. We're ready to composite it now. First things first, let's just close everything and turn on motion blur for every single layer. Yep.
Which can actually.
And we can keep that.
Which
null.
can actually inspire.
Yep, that works. Just drag the null above the camera just for less confusion. And now what we want is, actually, let's just play it back.
Attention to the things around you, which can. By attention to the things around you, which can actually inspire you. Attention to the things around you. Which
As you can see, this is a very large animation, so it's going to be very tough for it to load and play back for us. But that's totally fine. We don't need it anyways. Let's just pre-comp everything. Actually, not yet. Not yet. Okay. Firstly, we want to add the camera shake and the flicker, of course. So let's 3D that, motion blur that, link that. Now, P for position. Alt, right click. Turn off caps lock. Okay. Wiggle, enter, and 140. That's the wiggle.
attention to the things around you, which can actually inspire. You, which can actually.
Maybe let's bring it there.
The things around you, which can actually inspire.
Is the word things around you a 3D layer? I think it is, right? Yeah, it is. Yep, it's just not loading. This is, I might even need to turn it down a quarter. And these 3D assets are completely unrenderable.
Around you, which can actually inspire you.
Yeah, there's no chance this playback works. Let's just forget about it. Let's just apply the pre-comping. Now we need a solid layer, and we want to hit T for opacity, Alt, right click, wiggle, and we're gonna have 15 and comma 10, and then outside -90. So that gives us a flicker.
Attention to the things around you, which can.
And we want it to start. Let's have it start here.
Attention to the things around you, which can act.
Yeah, no chance. This is not going to play. All right, let's just pre-comp everything. Pre-compose, okay. And we're going to add a, firstly make it fit, add a posterize time. And we're going to set it to 14 FPS. Next, we're going to add noise as usual and 3%. And we don't need to overcomplicate the pre-comping. We've already done a lot with the texturing and the effects, so I think this will look really good. Unfortunately, it will not play back. Actually, I'm going to render it off camera and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. All right, so now that I've rendered it, let's play it back. And before I do that, I just remembered I forgot to add a transition. So I want a transition to like flash around here. So Control Y for a white solid, and I'm going to cut it so that it only lasts this like sort of. I can't use any of my keyboard shortcuts. Okay, I can now. Okay, so
Can actually.
make it a little bit longer. I'm going to zoom in 3 frames.
Can actually.
And then on top of that, I also want a film burn, so I'm just going to find one. Actually, I think I already imported one. Yep, I already have. So I'll add a film burn here, and it starts at this point. So I'm just going to cut it. Then it ends here. And Control Alt T for time remapping. Want it to be, this one can be slightly longer, so I'll have it like this.
Which can actually.
It can actually be quite a bit longer.
Which can actually.
And turn off the sound because it doesn't sound very good. And we turn off the sound for the pre-comp as well. And now R, rotate it 90 degrees, and change it to screen, the blend mode, and this is what we get. This is what we are left with.
Which can actually.
Clean transition once again. And let's watch the whole thing now.
Attention to the things around you, which can actually inspire you. Attention to the things around you, which can actually inspire you.
The only unfortunate thing is the render quality of these 3D objects. However, it will look fine when we export it.
Which can actually inspire you.
Okay, so that's it for this animation. Congratulations on finishing another hard session of editing. Make sure you drink some water and come back for the next one.